Welcome back. R&B singer Robert Sylvester Kelly, famously known as R. Kelly, was found guilty of all 9 counts against him, including racketeering and 8 violations of an anti-sex trafficking law known as the Mann Act. This comes after 25 years of allegations of R. Kelly's abuse against Black women and girls. As a warning, this segment will discuss issues of sexual assault against women and minors. Here to further discuss is Ival Grant-Williams. Ival, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
So this is a huge moment for people who spoke out against the many crimes of R. Kelly. How did you feel when you heard the news that he could possibly face 10 years to life in prison?
Mm. Well, when I heard of the verdict, what was once flaring outrage turned into just a gasp and also a sigh of wow, because these women risked the rejection of their community and just violation of their sense of self to bring about change. This verdict it's really a chance for them to reach for something more, not just for themselves, but for other girls around the world. I mean, this is personal, not just for me as a woman, but for men who have girls and women in their lives that they love. And, they don't want to see them suffer at the hands of another who has an unfair advantage.
Do you at all feel justice was finally served?
I'm relieved to hear that the girls who were abused were brave. I mean, they endured intense cross-examination. They re-experienced their trauma and just, they reopened those wounds, right? To give voice to girls who may be having a similar experience. So fairness, justice, and women's rights have been uplifted by the verdict.
Now, why do you think it took so long despite countless amounts of evidence and accusations that stretched across decades?
Justice takes time. I mean, there are offenses against individuals and groups of people that has dragged on for decades and even hundreds of years before justice was served. So there is due process, and it just takes time. I mean, we hear this expression, open shut case, but even those, right, get opened decades later, only to find out that the innocent was prosecuted. So I trust that the prosecution and everyone involved on both sides actually took the time needed for a fair and just result of the case.
Now, I also like to add that many people have written about this and feel that the race of the victims play a huge part. What are your thoughts on that?
Hmm. I didn't really think a whole lot about, or haven't really thought a whole lot about the race of the victims. I was just more concerned about the age of the victims. I am more concerned about the fact that these are children. Um, they are now women, right? They are now adult women, but that was really more of my focus. It's the crimes, the allegation of the crimes against women and children, not so much the race of the individuals.
Now, in the age of social media, people amplify their voices for the empowerment of those who are often silenced. Can you explain the importance of hashtags like Mute R. Kelly or the Me Too movement?
I mean, as you said, hashtags can amplify voices. So it has proven to be useful, and it helps to take the voice of a few to an audience of many. I mean, hashtags can mobilize action, right? It can also create a space for the like-minded. Hashtags can help to remove the barriers of location, age, and access, right? A hashtag can start a movement, a societal shift. So there has been momentous progress because of hashtags. I mean, who would have thought?
Now, despite having organizations like Me Too, do you feel that there are too many enablers in the entertainment industry?
I mean, I take this case personally because having your strength underestimated is common for girls and women worldwide. The smile of an older gentleman, right, that makes you feel beautiful in the moment as you walk by, but then violated just minutes later, right, when you remember that he's old enough to be your dad, your uncle, or even like your dad's friend. So this is not a strange experience for girls and women. In my lifetime, that experience is not discussed openly. But because of these young girls who are now adult women, we can discuss it loud and bold enough for girls of the current and even future generations to come. They won't have to be, they won't have to have uncomfortable experiences in silence. I believe that many women and men took this case just as personally as I did.
Now, throughout the discourse of Kelly's crimes, many people brought up victim blaming. Can you just explain what that is and how we see it play out in our society?
Oh, I mean, victim blaming says you're the victim, you deserve it. It devalues the person. It sounds like, you provoked this. You have problems. Why did you stay? Why didn't you say anything? Maybe you were under the influence, or you shouldn't have this, or you shouldn't have that. It's just you, right? So again, in my lifetime, judgment is a norm. When you judge, you form an opinion, you make a decision, um, and you do it with authority. So throughout this case, it is no surprise that there was much victim blaming. It is a norm, but hopefully we are learning, right, as people to empathize, because judgment and blaming threatens, well, it threatens your well-being.
Now, when we add in the age of the victims, I think it makes it a little bit harder to grasp that people were still somehow victim blaming these girls. What are your thoughts on that when it comes to like people who are minors?
Well, I believe that for a minor, right? Again, these are children. And so I would want to believe that around the world, no one wants to hurt children. And so when we think about the age of the victims, earlier you asked about the race of the victims. And I said that, I wasn't really thinking about the race. I was just thinking about their age. And I was imagining what it was like for me when I was 8 or 10 or 12. And you have big dreams, right? And when you meet someone who you think can help you actualize those dreams, they too become a part of that dream. And so I just imagine that for these young girls, um, they were embarking upon a journey that they couldn't even imagine was going to be the absolute opposite of their dreams.
And then, just speaking on victim blaming, what can we do to kind of change that language? Because it can be so ingrained in just like normal everyday talking. What can we do to just kind of stop that and shift the focus and, the responsibility on the aggressor or the abuser?
I mean, we can just help girls and women find their power, right? And take back control in situations that may leave them feeling, whether it's isolated, intimidated, controlled, punished, shamed, humiliated. We have to continue to offer support, give a listening ear, affirm them, and let them know that their experiences and their emotions are valid. I hope we can all take sort of that burning sensation we get, from unfairness and turn it into fuel. I'm hoping that just the world community will demonstrate their incredible strength and grace and advocate for the issues that impact women and children.
Do you think this verdict will send a powerful message to men in the industry like Mr. Kelly?
Do I think it will send a powerful message? Definitely. I think the message that will be sent is that women are brave, right? And that they can have the last word. And when I say the last word, that they should not suffer in silence. Um, it also sends the message that justice can prevail. It also sends the message that there is hope. You asked me about a message to the men. I'm not even just thinking about the message to the men. I'm just thinking about the message to the world, that women and children are to be protected, that they are the essence of humanity. And so that's the message that I think this verdict sends.
Now, I'd like to get your thoughts on on people who still support him or choose to separate the art from the artist. Do you feel it's dangerous to do such a thing?
Um, I mean, I'm thinking about music here. Music is an international language, right? Music has no friends, music has no enemies. Music can fill the world with happiness and togetherness. There are issues that we support and we rally around, and then there's issues that we choose to witness and not necessarily become a part of. Um, as humanity, we don't always act in unison. Um, I don't know how to separate the person from the crime, but I do hope that the voice of girls and women will be resounding and it will take on a tune of its own. I imagine that while on the dance floor, during celebrations around the world, people may still dance to his songs, right? But some people might not. They may sit down. But more importantly, I hope we all embrace crimes against children and women as if it's our own.
Now that he has been convicted, what can we do to support, those survivors of assault?
I mean, similar to what I said before, I think we really do need to help girls and women to find their power, and to realize that they are strong, that their voices deserve to be heard, and to affirm them, that their emotions are valid. I think that's the biggest piece here, that many times as women, our emotions are invalidated, right? And so you have to trust your gut, and you have to know that, again, that burning sensation that you get when you feel that something is unfair, you have to use that to really fuel that voice of yours and just speak out, and speak boldly. And for those who are listening, to be allies and to join in amplifying those voices.
Ival, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
That's all for our show today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Kibin Alleyne, wishing you and yours safety and wellness now and always. See you next time.